Okay. Hello and good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are doing a special Saturday forecast because we do have storms expected for today. So we want to make sure that we get to all of those details on those storms and we don't miss a day, even though it's a Saturday. We want to make sure that we are staying up to date on everything. Let's see if we can pull in our graphics here. Where are our graphics at? Okay, we're getting closer. What's going on with these graphics? Okay, you can see them at least, right? Hey, put in those in the comments section if you can hear me and if you can see me, because yes, I am doing this from home, which means that I'm producing by myself today. So I want to make sure that you guys can see everything that you need to get your forecast today. Let's see if we can make these graphics a little bit bigger. How about that? That's a bit better. Oh, right there. Okay, we're going to settle with that. We're going to say that's pretty good. So yes, I can see your comments. I can see your questions on the side of the screen over here. Mark Anthony says, yes, hello from Dallas, and you can see me and you can hear me. Great. Okay, so let's get started here. Your weather headlines for today. We are expecting those storms to come in and to Texas all the way to Ohio today. Take a look at the hail forecast. Yes, those areas highlighted in orange are areas that you can see larger hailstones up to the size of a golf ball in some places, but even larger storms in others. Ooh, look at that. Down in San Angelo, some large hailstones expected. Anytime we see those reds start to dip through, we know that we could see some large hailstones, not only today, but also for tomorrow through Arkansas and Missouri. All righty, moving on here. Here's a look at your 24-hour storm reports. Yeah, yesterday we didn't have the storms that we expected to have. We really expected to see those storms fire up and it almost become like explosive, where we see storms fire and produce large stones up to like golf ball to tennis ball size hailstones. And we just did not see that. It was another bust here in Oklahoma, which is the second time that has happened this year. We did eventually, after many, many hours of waiting and just watching the radar and seeing nothing but light rain on it, we finally saw some storms out in Tulsa. So we did get those golf ball size hail reports for some of us, and then others just small quarter size hail. I think what we had in Texas was quarter size hailstones. Oh, all righty, there you go. Moving on to Texas. Wind event out in Indiana and Illinois overnight last night, and even in Ohio, we saw some high winds. But I think that the largest hailstone that we saw was a 2-incher up in Michigan. So it wasn't even here down in the South. We really expected the South to get those larger hailstones. Yeah, Anthony says, yesterday in Wisconsin got smashed. Great storms up there. I know. We saw some really good. We had 2 3-stars in Wisconsin yesterday, and those were morning storms too. So the weather keeps us on our toes. It's surprising us. We do have storms in St. Louis right now. Nothing is severe as far as I can tell. And here, I'll just double check that for you real quick. I think it's just stratiform rain right now, which basically means nothing severe. Yep. I don't see anything severe out there. All righty, light rain up in the New England states as well. Got some rain here in Oklahoma. I can look out my window right now and tell you it's very, very cloudy, quiet out there right now, and it's chilly too. So a lot of us switching from the tank top weather yesterday to now coats and rain jackets today. 52 here in Oklahoma City, 51 up in KC, 38 in Denver. I think that's actually technically a warm up in Denver compared to what we saw yesterday. There's that cold air moving into Oklahoma, Missouri, and even into Illinois, northern Texas getting that cold air. But hey, we see a little bit of a warm up in places like Missouri and Arkansas, bringing in those storms once again for tomorrow. So temperatures, you kind of know the drill, up and down and up and down on a roller coaster ride that we always get in the spring. So let's take a look at your future radar here. Here's a look at storms that are going to be popping up today. And I can adjust this depending on, I know we have some people from Chicago in here. We have Texas, Dallas in here as well. So I'll adjust this radar and bring you down into Dallas. I'll bring you up into Chicago. Although Chicago doesn't have a risk today, right? Yeah, Chicago's out of that risk. So whatever rain you guys get, it's just going to be non-severe. Here's your timeline. I am expecting storms, and you can kind of see Dallas. Ooh, you can't see Dallas really at all on the screen. This is what we get for not doing this on the green screen. Let me adjust this camera view so that we can go into Texas. All righty, let's get closer into Dallas because I know we've got a lot of Texas people watching today. And that's the point of being able to comment and me being able to see your comments over here. I see Abilene is on here as well. Here, we'll pull in Abilene because I know Abilene is right in the middle of that risk. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure that's correct. Sometimes you guys throw out these city names and you test my geography. Let's see, Abilene, yes, in the middle of that risk today. Okay, so let's look at the radar one more time. So this is your future radar today. Now zoomed into Texas. Let me go back to the comments so I can see your guys' comments. All righty. Okay, so we're going down to Texas. Maybe if my graphics will load. Haha, there we go. Okay, so yes, storms, it'll be rainy all day long. You're going to have multiple rounds of rain today. Storms really start to fire up later on this afternoon into the evening hours. So I'd say right around 2 to maybe 8 o'clock in Texas, depending on where you are. And then it'll continue through the overnight hours tonight. You won't just have one round of storms here. You'll most likely have several rounds of storms. Here we are zoomed down into, you can see Abilene in here. You can see San Angelo. You can see Dallas in here as well. San Angelo, great risk for hail today. And you see those storms tracking to the east into the early morning hours. And then we've got another chance for storms. You can kind of see that on the side of my screen into Arkansas and Missouri for tomorrow. And there's your risk for tomorrow. And let me pull in, actually, I promise this is the last time I'll edit graphics like this. The rest of the forecast, I don't have to change the camera view. It's just these very, very specific, future radar that I want you guys to see because it's all about timing, right? And I know that you guys have Easter plans, you have weekend plans, and I want you to be able to see the future radar so that you can see the timing. But my graphics are a little slow. Aren't we all a little slow on Saturday mornings, including the graphics system? Okay, so let's take a look at Arkansas and Missouri for tomorrow. So there's your risk today, pretty low risk in Arkansas and Missouri, better risk down in Texas for not only that hail risk, but I do think that hail and high wind will be the biggest risk, especially initially today. And then storms will begin to cluster, forming more of a wind and tornado risk for tomorrow. There we go into tomorrow afternoon. Yes, we have a pretty good tornado risk. And I'll show that to you in just a minute, but I'm pretty impressed about the tornado potential tomorrow, anywhere from Arkansas to Missouri. This will continue through the afternoon hours tomorrow. There's your risk. This is your SPC risk. So enhanced highlighted there in orange, level 3, slight highlighted there in yellow, includes Kansas City, includes Shreveport, and that's a level 2. And then that marginal risk highlighted in green, that's a level 1. So you'll see storms in Chicago, but no risk, no severe weather in Chicago tomorrow. We've got people on here from Southwest Missouri. What about Florida? Florida, not in the risk for today. You may get some showers, at least some rain, early portion of the work week, but no storms, no severe weather for you. All righty, moving on, our future dew points. So yeah, we've got some moisture in here. You can see that Highlighted in green, moisture moving up from the Gulf, but as we move throughout the rest of the next few days, a lot of that moisture will be moving out to the east as that front pushes all of that moisture out to the east. And there is your significant hail model for today. Again, a lot of that larger hail focused down in Texas, Dallas, and to the southwest. We've got the potential for some large hail up into Arkansas, Kentucky, it's possible, southern Ohio, it's possible, but it's looking less likely the farther north that you go. So we're really zooming down into Texas here, showing you that even into the late night hours, we still have a really good chance for some large hail in Dallas. However, that goes down significantly after about midnight tonight. So the afternoon into the late night hours is your severe timeline here. Let's take a look at that hail forecast today. We nailed this forecast in Nebraska a few days ago, but it just didn't verify last night in Oklahoma. So what will we see for today? Saturday, it looks like Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, low chance for large hail. However, as we go down to the south into places like Dallas, Abilene, who did we have on here from Abilene earlier? Let's see. I saw someone on here from Abilene. Tim. Tim was asking about Abilene. Here's your forecast. You are in the high category for large hail today. And I think that I'm going up to right around that 2.5 inch mark. So right around hen, egg to tennis ball size hail. Baseball size hail, I think it's possible. I think it's pretty unlikely. If we see any baseball size hail today, it'll be isolated. So large hail is possible, very, very isolated. I think that we'll see more of this tennis ball to hen egg sized reports. Does it feel weird that we're forecasting hen egg sized hailstones on Easter weekend? That feels a little weird. Okay, taking a look at your tornado risk for today, we have upped it just a little bit compared to yesterday. Large hail also in that high category here. Flooding. Flooding is also an increased risk today. There's an area that I want you to be very, very cautious of, anywhere from Oklahoma City down into northern Texas, including Wichita Falls, all the way up into Joplin, and even just south of St. Louis. You have to be very, very weather aware in this area because flooding is going to be at a level 3 risk. We have the potential for just round after round of rain, and that's going to increase those rainfall totals too quickly. It's not about how much rain that we get, it's how fast we get those storms and that high rainfall totals. So yeah, we do have a flood outlook in that level 3 category for today. High wind down in Abilene, down in Dallas, but for the most part, that high wind is going to be in between that 65 to 70 mile per hour range. So I'm not terribly concerned with the strong wind speeds today. Tornado forecast, yes, we are in a level 2. That's a moderate risk highlighted there in yellow, including Dallas, Abilene once again, just outside to the east of Midland, to the east of Fort Stockton, and Oklahoma City. Not in that risk. However, places like Norman are included in that risk. On here. There's your, okay, now moving on to tomorrow. Here we are on Sunday. Your hail forecast stretches up into Arkansas and Missouri. We even see some larger hailstones wanting to come down into the state line of Texas and Louisiana. So I did include Shreveport in this hail forecast today, or today for tomorrow. Here's your hail forecast for Sunday. Kansas City, low risk. We have been talking about Kansas City quite often because people from Kansas City have been coming on to our forecasts saying we never get any storms. We're always in the risk and we only get rain. We never get anything severe. And it seems like that is the truth. It seems like Kansas City is always in the risk, but they're always in a low risk. So very isolated storms and they just miss the city. So yeah, that's what we're going to see again on Sunday. St. Louis, better chance for storms to St. Louis, Springfield, Little Rock. I have brought down the hail sizes on Sunday. I think I went with 2-inch size hail. I don't think that I went up to tennis ball size hail. I would expect these hail sizes to be a lot lower, a lot smaller on Sunday. You know what I am really watching for on Sunday? The tornado risk. Hen egg, golf ball size hail. I was right in between the two. Should I go golf ball or should I go lime size? Your wind forecast here, 65, 75 mile per hour wind speeds, enough to make an impact, mainly Springfield, Little Rock, St. Louis, all included in that. And there's tomorrow's tornado forecast. So that tornado potential has increased for Sunday. This is something that we absolutely have to be aware of because we never, ever want to be caught off guard for severe weather. You know, even though you're out hanging out with your family, enjoying those Easter egg hunts, severe weather doesn't have a calendar. So for tomorrow's tornado forecast, yes, we have a level 3 tornado risk. Highlighted there in red for Springfield and just to the west of St. Louis, in between Kansas City and St. Louis. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your timeline, your storm timeline, for whatever family travels that you have tomorrow. Springfield to Little Rock, that risk goes down, and even lower, it's a level 1 risk in Shreveport. But even a level 1 risk does mean that you have to stay weather aware. Taking a look at that future radar, as storms track to the east on Sunday, it takes a lot of that moisture with it. So if you're in Oklahoma or Texas and looking to do an afternoon Easter egg hunt on Sunday, I think that you are going to dry off enough to be able to get outside on Sunday afternoon. Missouri, Arkansas, you're still going to be very, very wet on Sunday afternoon. So I would put all of your outdoor plans and move them indoors. Chicago, you've also got several rounds of rain. So you're also going to have to move those plans indoors. We dry off as we head into the very beginning of the week. Monday, Tuesday, we start to dry off a little bit. However, storms increase once again as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. Take a look at this, right through the plains, kind of where we've been watching for storms. So if you're in Oklahoma City, Dallas, Abilene, you're going to see another round of storms as we head into the middle of the work week. And then we'll kind of see what happens at the end of the week. Models aren't completely agreeing on this. However, it does look like we're going to stay pretty active, at least through the next 7 days. And even after that, I think that we're going to stay pretty active. And I'll tell you why here in just a minute. Here's a look at your temperatures. We've got the 50s on Sunday. Temperatures don't really move too much. Sometimes whenever we're in this very stagnant, like on the west side of Oklahoma, we're in this very stagnant pattern, even like Oklahoma City, where we've got this front that's just stationary on the southeast side of the state all the way into Texas. And so that means that our temperatures don't move too much. The cloud cover that we've got over our heads right now, that's bringing that round after round of rain, is preventing any sunlight from getting in. So we can't warm up during the day, but we also can't cool down at night because that cloud cover has trapped in heat between the surface and the clouds. It's trapped in all of that heat. And so we don't cool down that much overnight either. So our temperatures stay very, very stubborn throughout the entire day. So we'll be in the 50s here in Oklahoma City all day today. Very, very similar up in Kansas City as well, just behind that cold front. 69 in Dallas. You warm up a little bit tomorrow. And let me tell you, if you can warm up today and tomorrow, you have a better chance for storms. So the warmer those temperatures get, the better chance for those explosive storms to happen, right? So you got the sunshine, I would expect a good chance for storms. Temperatures cool down a little bit, 60s on Monday. Ooh, we got a good warm up on Tuesday. It'd be nice. 78 here in Oklahoma, 79 in Dallas on Tuesday. How windy is it? That north wind coming in Oklahoma and Texas today makes it feel a lot colder. Pretty windy on Sunday. All of that wind tracks out to the east by Monday to Chicago and St. Louis. So high wind gusts, just expect it to be gusty at the very beginning of the work week as well. Now, I mentioned earlier that, oh, okay, I'll pause right there. I do see a comment. I want to address this comment. Is there any forecast for hail in Chicago? Nope. You are not in any of those hail forecasts. Let me just double check tomorrow. Nope, you don't even get scraped on the southern side tomorrow. No hail for Chicago. I didn't want to move on until we addressed that comment. Alrighty, let's go on. So I did mention that we will have a really good chance to stay active. This active trend will continue as we head into the end of April. Why is that? Well, we need look at the ingredients for storms. We talk about this all the time. Do you remember the 4 ingredients for storms? Number 1 and number 2, temperature and moisture. You need warm temperatures and you need a lot of moisture, which is why we look at dew points. We look for high dew points because that measures the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. So we look at our extended temperature outlook, and temperatures are above average. We're warmer than normal as we head into the end of April, almost for the entire US. So no one is exempt from this. Now, what about our moisture? So I'll show you your moisture outlook for the end of April. If we see a lot of green on this map, that means we are likely to stay very active for storms to just keep on coming in. Look at that. Yes, so it's likely that we will have many, many chances for storms as we head into April. What this map tells us is it tells us that we will see more rainfall than average. So above average rainfall totals as we head into the end of April. But what does that tell severe storm watchers like us? That tells us that we've got moisture and we've got heat, which means we most likely will have storms, especially this time of the year. We'll see just that active pattern continue. And I usually show the jet stream. I wonder if I have it on here. Let's see. I'll show the jet stream and I'll see if we have like just an above average activity. This will give you a really good idea of what to expect. Here we go. Wait for this to load. Ah, there we go. So let's take a look at Saturday and Sunday. Here's what you're looking for. You see this dip in the jet stream right here. Anytime we can see a dip in the jet stream, we call it a trough. That means that we will probably have some sort of change in weather, from hot to cold, rainy to dry, some sort of change in weather. Anytime we can see these like oranges and reds mix in, greens and blues are fine. We really want to see like an orange in there. That means that we'll probably have a pretty strong storm system. So our upper level winds aren't terribly impressive, but this jet streak is in the right spot for severe weather. So that's exactly what we're seeing today and tomorrow, right? But why I pulled up this graphic is I wanted to go into next week. So anytime that we see these lines parallel with state lines, that's called zonal flow. It means that it's pretty quiet. So we'll probably stay pretty quiet on Monday and maybe even Tuesday. But here we go. By the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday, we start to see a lot more activity. We're going to bring in some short waves in here. That doesn't mean that they're going to be the strongest storms, but they are going to be storms. It's messy. That's why it's hard to predict this at the very end of the week, because it's really, really messy. And then maybe next weekend, another round of storms. Ooh, there you go. Chicago, watch next weekend. That may be your next chance for some good storms. Anyway, just kind of wanted to nerd out over the upper air models. This is the jet stream. You guys hear us talk about the jet stream all the time. All righty, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to hop off of here because we do have some Easter plans with our family here in about 15 minutes. So we're going to head over to see them. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you back here. I'll have a noon forecast tomorrow. Actually, will you guys tell me in the comments, would you prefer an earlier forecast? And we'll chat like around 11:15-ish. Or would you prefer me to record a forecast and still play it live at noon? Because we have plans at noon tomorrow. So I can't be here live at noon, but I could be here live at like 11. Would that work for you guys? Not 11. My husband's saying not 11. What time can I do live tomorrow? Like 10. Okay, what about 10? Sorry, y'all. It's playoffs. So tell me, would you prefer a live at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning? Or would you prefer me just to record it and then put it out at noon? What do you guys want? All righty. Thanks for joining us today. Let me know in the comments what you'd prefer. And we'll see you back here at some point tomorrow.